I'm a customer success manager over here at Automox. I'm joined today by Doug King. Very happy to have you, Doug. He is a director of cyber and InfoSec over at Rappahannock Electric Cooperative.
Glad to be here, Jared. Happy to support you guys doing this. Rappahannock Electric Cooperative is a large distribution electric cooperative. We serve 22 counties right outside of Washington, D.C. I've been in this role for a little over a year now, and I've been an Automox customer for a little over a year as well. So I'm glad to support you during this summit.
Thanks, Doug. Appreciate it. Just going to jump right into this. If you could tell me a little bit about your IT ops environment just prior to Automox, before you were automating your patching.
Sure, absolutely. I think we've had good discussions on this. Classically, just like a lot of Microsoft-centric organizations, we were kind of dependent on WSUS, Windows Server Update Services. It's a product that's been around from Microsoft for seems like forever, probably close to 15 to 20 years now. And as a product, it really hasn't changed that much. It's still fundamentally the same product it was. Yes, there's been some new features being added, but I think one of the things that kind of held it back as a solution is that it hasn't been, cloud capable. And you see some things from Microsoft regarding Intune and others, but I think one of the challenges we have right now with more of a distributed workforce, people working outside their homes, people would be more mobile than ever. I think, post-pandemic, the workforce has changed tremendously. People are working from while they're on vacation. People are working from their homes. People are working in, smaller areas or areas with more or less good or bad, internet connectivity. So using those type of traditional tools really doesn't help us. REC, we distribute electric energy to homes and businesses across 22 counties. We have an incredibly high level of responsibility, and to do that, we have to ensure our systems are safe and secure. And Automox has been helping us do that with our distributed workforce. What those trucks, the little model of a truck you see behind me, that's a good example of, we have our technology, we have our mobile devices in trucks like that, and Automox is able to reach out and actually patch manage those for us. And it's been doing a really, really great job so far. So I'm glad it's here.
Yeah, we're glad that you're a part of our customer base and working with us day to day. Just outside of the remote functionality of Automox being just a major point for switching over from WSUS, what was the straw that broke the camel's back? Was there like any moment in particular, or was it just a time to change?
I think one of the things when I landed here was removes administrative burdens. I think one of the things that a lot of engineers or admins get used to is the amount of administrative burden they each carry through their professional day. For my team, I'm a security leader, but I also come from a traditional IT background. I got about 25 years of experience. I know what administrative burden feels like and administrative fatigue feels like. And I was looking for a product, or I was looking for a solution that really was specialized and was streamlined, performed really well, and people can get into it, do their job, and move on throughout their day. I did not want to put more sand or more weight on someone's back and say, hey, by the way, here's yet another heavy product that you have to learn, so you have to master. One of the things that I like about Automox is and I'm going back to a lot of our demos and trials, is that it's very intuitive, right? The user interface, the product itself has always been very intuitive. I'm able to bring new people onto our organization, drop them in a role, and say, hey, here's Automox. Let me give you, or let someone from my team give you, 35, 45 minutes. And by the end of that session, they understand it. So the learning curve for it is extremely quick, and we've seen a lot of success with it, and it's able to because of that, it's able to help us close our gaps in all of our patch management.
Yeah, no, I remember onboarding you in tandem with Elmer, one of our solutions consultants over here, and your goals were pretty plain and simple. Just time to deployment was huge for you guys, and ultimately migrating over from WSUS, which Doug presented the question is, when is the best time to migrate over from WSUS? And his answer was just yes. There is no.
And hopefully you got some t-shirts printed up for that. For us, it was that was kind of where we were at the time. And I know there's a lot of third-party products out there that sometimes they're a part of a solution. And it's, oh, by the way, we also do patch management. For us, we're really looking for a specialized surgical precision type tool that functions at a really high level to knock this out. And we've been extremely pleased with it so far. It's really changed and given a lot of our people their time back throughout their day. The kind of the long nights and the long weekends doing patch management, a lot of those hours they've earned those back. So it's working really well.
Yeah, and on top of that, just why you chose to go with Automox. There are a bunch of third-party vendors out there, like you said. Right. Why not? I mean, the status quo was WSUS, which is something you wanted to migrate away from, but why Automox out of
Automox? For me, it's a couple different things. One, it's the product. The product is a very lightweight agent. For those of you who've used it, you know what I'm talking about. It works almost instantly. I think for me, when we started the trial, within about an hour, I was deploying agents to my trial, my group that I wanted to test with. By the end of the day, I felt comfortable with the product. As a leader in security, I'm tied to the hip with my vendors. The people I work with, my partners, folks like Automox. I just really appreciate the energy of a company that's so excited about tackling and some of the most fundamental, unsexy things about information security and about vulnerability management, which means actually do the work and get things patched. There's a lot of fatigue in that, but for me, I sensed a lot of energy from your team, and you guys are very committed to listening to your customers and getting a lot of feedback. There's been a couple great moments, I think, with you and with Elmer, but also other people as well, where I've reached across and said, hey, I've got an issue deploying this. Maybe it's the biannual Microsoft update for Windows 10. I had some agents, or not agents, I've had some clients and Windows 10 clients not patching properly. And I actually threw it over the fence to you guys. And even though it wasn't your responsibility, you helped us solve it. So again, the product is great. I think the people are even better that make the product possible. So the energy and your culture is winning us over.
Yeah, no, wait, I appreciate that. I know we all appreciate that over here at Automox. And I know that you yourself came from a startup background at some point in your career path. So just connecting the dots and seeing the value in working with a smaller company is definitely, one that you found benefit in.
I think one of the things as companies get larger and they get a little bit more time under their belt, I think inevitably the kind of the machinery slows down. You guys have been extremely agile to our requests and our emails. So again, it's extremely appreciated. And in our world and critical infrastructure, we have to move really, really quickly. Most organizations have really a few things they're protecting. We have another thing, really, we're a building block of civilization. So for us, like I said, choosing the right vendor has the right mindset and who can move with urgency really wins the day over for us. So again, it's a lot to have to do with your product, but mostly your culture.
Yeah, no, both go hand in hand. One impacts the other, absolutely. Right. So it's just a cohesive environment over here on this side, and it's easy to get in touch with the right people. So thanks for shedding some light on that. Appreciate it. Just quick back to the product here at hand. Just some benefits from the onboarding process, and then what came after that post implementation. What do you think is the biggest value add that Automox has had post implementation once you had it all configured?
Well, let's see, the biggest value for me, again, it is a product that when we were introduced to it, right? We worked through your sales team. We were in a proof of concept demo environment within just a few days. From me saying, hey, I'm interested in learning more about your product, to hands on keyboard, let me show you how it works. And that environment that you gave us, you actually transitioned that into a production environment for us, which is great because that means we do not have to tear down and redeploy. That was huge for us. Again, time is of the essence. We wanted to move with a sense of urgency. As far as as far as the product itself, the onboarding, again, it was extremely easy. there were no, for us, there was some documentation you had to read, just had to learn about how the product works and behaves, but some of it was just so intuitive. It's like, hey, here's an agent, it's reporting in. Do you want it in this targeting group? Yes, no. What policies do you want to have a effect on this and this agent? When do you want the restarts to happen? When do you want the messaging to happen? And it was done. It was so much easier and so much simpler than anything we've had to deal with in the past. It was, again, it goes back to that analogy I was using. It was more of a scalpel, and it had a single purpose, and it did it really well. And the whole process was pretty darn good.
Yeah, and you're not unlike a lot of other customers that I work with over here. Customers that see a lot of value in time to deployment, time to patch, bringing their vulns down almost instantaneously.
We've been able, I don't know if I shared this with you, Jared, but we've actually been able to tighten our SLAs around patch management. So things where we were, really, we're still within industry best practice, but we're able to even tighten that time even further because we have capability that we didn't have before. We're able to reach out and provide notifications that actually mean something to the employees that work for us, and says, hey, you're getting, your system is being updated by REC systems. Please stand by. Those are capabilities we didn't necessarily have before. And so we're able to tighten that time down tremendously. And we were able to get pretty good numbers up to, as far as coverage and patch management, to really great numbers fairly quickly. And it's been great. I can tell you that there were a few questions from our employees at first, because they weren't used to as quickly we can move. So if, say, we're on a Zoom call right now, say Zoom had a vulnerability had to be fixed by a new client. I could get a new client out within hours, within minutes, really. And, it's a game changer for us. We did not have to wait for the kind of the other products that, oh, by the way, do patch management, to come online. So it works.
Yeah, I know you mentioned your SLAs being able to be tightened up pretty recently when we were having our conversations early on. But thanks for rehashing that here and just, explaining the benefits. And you mentioned your team and your end users. Could you kind of convey how they're feeling about AutoMox, how they're interacting with it, what their feedback is, and how it's just improved their day?
Again, for my admins on the IT operations side, we're able to target different groups. So say it's a server workload, or say it's a certain type of endpoint. We're able to selectively choose what products and how we want those products updated. One of the things that's cool about AutoMox, and I'm not sure if everyone realizes this, but it supports a tremendous amount of third-party products, right? It's not just your core operating system, right? Whether it be a Mac or Windows device. There's also a huge library of third-party products it supports. Anywhere from Java to Zoom, you name it. Chances are it's in there. So we're able to really customize what type of experience we want depending on the endpoint. And that's one of the things, one size doesn't necessarily fit all, but it's still, basic blocking and tackling needs to take place. So we're able to actually, through policy, say, for this type of group, I want this to happen at this time for these products. And we set it, and you know what? It takes place. And we go in and check on our reports, so we can see if we have got an endpoint that's just an unhealthy endpoint. We're able to see that, and we can remove that device and bring it back online. But usually, like I said, it's really a set it and kind of forget it and check on statusing and check on reporting for us. There's not the administrative burden and that fatigue that comes along with administrative burden. A lot of that has been eliminated. A lot of people can move on and do other things that's more valuable to our organization. Again, patch management is not it's not a sexy thing. A lot of people don't like to talk about it. It's one of those things that everyone knows it's important, but not everyone does a really great job at it, which is kind of a dirty secret. Not every large organization does patch management really well. But we're really holding strong on it. We're glad it works well for us.
Thanks for that. Yeah, the end users being able to just reallocate their time from an admin level. I'm sure there's way more important things you can be working on.
The employees, the employees.
Let me tell you,
the employees. Let me tell you their angle. I totally forgot that. Employees, the how you can customize the message delivered to the employees is huge for us, because there's a lot of information you can put into that. you can kind of convey the sense of urgency that's taking place. And you can convey that, that you can say, hey, you need to postpone it. I'm busy working. You can control the entire experience for our employees. You can control that from a patch management standpoint. That's really great for us because we haven't been able to do that in the past. It was really, the operating system itself was kind of taking over and everyone received the message and there wasn't a lot of insight of why and what, but now we can actually craft that depending on the needs of the organization. So if something came down today and, I needed to change that message, I can change it within a few seconds. I have someone on my team change it in a few seconds and we won't skip a beat. So the employees really appreciate it.
Yeah, flexibility is the name of the game. And yeah, I know it all comes down to how you configure it. So I know you guys did a great job outside of us onboarding you, just getting that done on your own.
Yep. We're patching Windows machines, Linux machines, Mac OS, you name it. We've been happy with it.
I think we have some Q&A from some of the people attending this session. I can just pop into these really quick. And just before we get into these, we have another session coming up with Doug and myself. If you want to attend, we'll be talking more features, just to foreshadow that and what that'll be looking like. So navigate over to Secret to Lightweight Simplicity for a Director of Cyber and InfoSec Officer after this call. But I can hop into these questions from the audience really quick. First one we got is, what are your most used worklets and what do they accomplish for you guys?
I'm going to have to say emergency patching for third-party apps. I can target a specific application. There's a guy named John. I don't know John's on this. There's a guy named John at Automox who has become the worklet king over there, and he writes worklets several a week, and these worklets are extremely powerful. But for us, the third-party products, right? The mitigations for vulnerabilities that necessarily, hey, it doesn't take a patch, you have to reconfigure, something on the endpoint. Maybe it's a registry key, maybe it's a folder permission, whatever it might be. But also firmware updates. That's something that's huge for us. So standardizing, what the endpoints are running as far as their firmware, that's always been a moving target for a lot of organizations. We're able to do that now. That's something we necessarily haven't done before. I would have to say those are our most valuable ones that we're using today. And there's also, I know John's been extremely busy. There's some really interesting ones that popped up in the last few weeks in the worklet catalog. Those are some of those I want to take a look at and see how we can leverage those as well.
Yeah, I think we're up about 30% since March.
John's been busy.
Yeah, John has been very busy. We'll talk more about that on the next session and just what worklets are doing and where we're going in that direction. And you've touched on this before. This is just another question, more targeted, I guess, relating to just end user interaction. Have you noticed a difference in the response to needed updates with Automox versus WSUS? Like, can you quantify it, or is it just something that you've noticed a massive uptick in?
I have seen, because we're able to craft the message, right? We're getting greater participation in people being compliant with their devices. The last thing I want to do is force a reboot on someone, right? No one wants to do that, right? But because I can say, hey, these are important updates for your endpoint to help keep our organization safe, secure, and reliable. That little bit of messaging doesn't sound like a lot, but to remind people the why behind it is huge for us. It makes a lot of difference. And I can say our compliance levels as far as keeping them within our SLAs, being ready for the next out-of-band patch is really much higher. I can't give you the definitive number because there's a trend over time, but the number of questions I would get, or sometimes you would see maybe devices that would go out and then you're required to reboot, and it required a reboot. No one actually ever restarts it. Those have dropped pretty much to the floor because of that messaging, and because we can craft how we want that agent to behave. What's really nice about it too is that depending on if there's a really aggressive patch or mitigation that we have to get out, I can change the behavior of the agent within minutes, so I can get more aggressive or less aggressive as far as the particular patch or that particular group within Automox is concerned.
yeah, like you can guide the hand of the end user. It's just up to them at the end of the day, unless you want to force it on them. And I only really spoke with you and Brett on your side, especially in the onboarding segment of this partnership. From a buy-in side with the entire team, I know you guys are ultimately the ones making most of the calls over there for what you guys want to see and moving away from WSUS, but was the adoption rate just very, very high, or was it something that was people weren't nervous to move away from the status quo? What was the adoption rate over there?
I think people were skeptical about the automation because again, they were used to that, the laborious administrative burden. But once we gave some demonstrations, once we were able to ask some questions, once they really realize what's happening behind the scenes with the agent is really calling on the system itself to take care of itself and calling on the applications. Once they started to understand that, they really understood that, hey, this is a policy. I can control these policies really, really easily. Once they understood that, they really were in a better spot.
Yeah, that's I really only interacted with the two of you, and it's tough to move away from the status quo. I've worked with other products, not just in security, but other aspects of SaaS, and just moving away from things that are overly laborious and just result in problems. I know that at the end of the day, they're going to end up coming around. So glad that you presented them that.
Yeah, they're really enjoying the admins and engineers. They're really enjoying it, and it's part of our business rhythm here.
I think we have time for one more, and Ashley just gave a 5-minute warning about a minute ago. Speaking to patching software, can you talk about titles that are supported that you found a lot of value in our third-party catalog, and ones that you might want to see supported in the future?
I think a lot of that, some of the worklets that I'm seeing, especially the newer ones that are coming online, are really, really popular for us. Where I could see them some of them becoming more popular. I think a lot of the the web conferencing software, I think ensuring, one of the things you see at the service desk, and I'm on charge of our service desk, but unexpected things that can happen as far as, web conferencing is concerned. Maybe it's Zoom, maybe it's something else. That's where we can really kind of standardize and say, you know what, we're all going to run the latest version of Zoom and things like that. We're able to kind of reduce the calls as a service desk simply because someone didn't update something like Zoom or another app like that. We're also able to control some of the applications as far as versioning is concerned regarding some of our key business systems as well.
Awesome.
Yep.
Yeah, and we have a third-party catalog for all of you that are Automox customers. Reach out to your CSM and just tell them what ones you want to see supported if they're not already in that catalog. It's a pretty easy process for us to get the ball moving there.
Yeah, I'm sure John would love it.